Well, we said it was going to be an unpredictable stage. Rui Costa, unpredictable, Dan, but not nice, as you've been telling me, to ride around. But, well, did he just make it work in those final moments?
He did, as he so often does. I mean, just because you're a frustrating rider to be away with and maybe don't take all of your responsibility of doing the riding, doesn't mean we can take anything away from his victory, because he's amassed some really big victories over the course of what's been quite a long career now. But you can see why other riders do get so frustrated at being off the front with him, because he didn't do a single turn pretty much all the way up the final climb. That annoyed Buitrago. That then allowed Kemna, who'd crashed, to get back onto these three. But he's just such a canny guy. Like, even in terms of the Evenepoel group getting on behind, he was well aware of the encroaching group coming up. Thankfully for him, Kemna lit up the sprint to start with, and he had enough power in the legs to come past at the line.
Sean, his 31st career win, but the first in La Vuelta, and 36 years old. So in the latter stages of his pro career, what would it mean for him, do you reckon?
Well, it's a huge victory. And as we talked this morning, you know, for riders and for teams, you know, this is for Intermarché-Wanty. It's just makes the Vuelta. It saves everything. And as Dan said, Rui Costa, we know how much of a fox he is. When he gets into the situations, he can play it so cool. He just don't do a tap more than he needs to do, and just gets to the finish, and then just keep that cool in the end. And that's the great thing about bike riders. You can see there's a group coming up with Remco, but not to panic. And if you have got that, something natural you've got, and you have that instinct, and you have it when you get into those situations, then you can win races.
I didn't even know of the reputation of Rui Costa until I'd finished racing, because I was never good enough to go up the road with him. And it was our Spanish colleague, Juan Antonio Flesch, who said, yeah, nobody likes riding with Rui Costa because he never takes his turn on the front and then goes and wins at the end.
Fletcher doesn't like a lot of fellas.
Well, no, there is that. But once you've heard about it and you start to look at the way they ride, and you're like, oh, yeah, I see what you mean now. He really is annoying to ride with.
But when you see on that climb there with Buitrago, he was setting a pace that was, a really fast pace, and you could see the way they were riding away. I think Rui Costa was under pressure there. And if you get a young guy in there and he starts riding with Buitrago, then suddenly, bang, kilometre 0.5 from the top, he's gone. So, that experience, as we said, the old guys, the experience can take you a long way and can win you races.
Why, old fox?
I was going to say the main thing with Costa for me is that he's willing to lose to win, and not many people are. A lot of people are like third or second is better than nothing basically. Yeah. So I think with him that he's willing to risk it, and a lot of people in that situation are like, no, we can't risk it. I've guaranteed a top 3 here, and he's only bothered in finishing on that podium, so on the top step. So I think for him, he's just like, I don't care if we get caught. I want to win this. So if you do as well, you push on, and I'll just take advantage of that. He's very clever the way that he does it.
Brilliantly entertaining for us. And there was a moment where obviously Lenny Kemna, he came off, and I sort of ran off stage to have a sip of tea, and then I came back. It was literally about a split second. I was like, how is he still in the mix? It was just extraordinary, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the guy in that situation, the guy is he's a professional. He's been in that situation before, and if you've not come off too badly, then you can see here, comes off the road, just has a little crash into the fence, not too much of it, so he's not going to hurt himself too badly. Jumps straight back on the bike, and with downhills like that, if you just take a few risks after that, you can generally, as he did, get himself back on.
But how much might he be ruining that mistake? Because had that not happened, would he be now the one just tapping Costa on the shoulder, going, good ride, mate, but not quite good enough?
Possible. It's quite
not going to see.
That's it.
Well, I mean,
another story for another day.
He looked really strong, Kemna. Because I think in the group behind Costa and Buitrago, everyone was looking to Evenepoel based on what he'd done on yesterday's stage, thinking, well, he's still here, he's incredibly strong, at some point he's going to go and bridge to the front. And it was only at the point where people realised that he wasn't as good as yesterday that Kemna then went on the attack, bridged the gap of close to half a minute before we even got to the top, managed to get rid of the other two on the descent, and they were still arguing. So I tend to think that if he hadn't have crashed, he would have ridden away, because he's a slightly bigger rider, he's got a lot of power in the saddle, the gap was increasing, so he'll definitely be ruining that crash. But it was thanks to the arguing again that he did manage to get back up to those front two.
Yeah, so something to thank Costa for.